This is the Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition. Coming up.
The idealism behind it was, even for one Jew, it's already worth it.
When you see so many Jews from so many different places and they're sitting down on a Shabbos table in the middle of nowhere, wow. And you only see it when you're on the job. Wow, it's empowering.
I'm not just trying to get by or making sure people have something kosher to eat and move on. I really want it to be something that is delightful, and I think we've striven towards that goal.
The opportunity came and we took it and we worked really hard to get where we are, but to be open to whatever comes your way, even though maybe it's not exactly how the plan was.
So sit back and enjoy the trip with David Harris and Mark Gordon.
Good day, listener. Good day, Mark.
No, I am the listener.
Do you remember a few months ago we went to Panama? I'm assuming it's something you're not going to forget for a long time.
Well, the older I get, the more I forget and the quicker I forget it. But no, that trip to Panama was something special.
It really was. And listener, hopefully you have heard our previous episodes, both from Panama City and from Boquete, which was in what I kept calling a tropical cloud forest.
That's because it was a rainforest so high up that it was in the clouds, hence the name Cloud Forest.
There you go. While we were there, if you remember, we raved about a lovely restaurant cafe called Morton's Bakehouse. It was turned kosher by a husband and wife team, and of course they happened to be from the Chabad organization.
Yes, we arrived at the bakehouse having landed at David Airport, unable to find a sign saying David, which really upset you.
It did.
But we were cheered up by some lovely sourdough bread, some lox, some cream cheese. Well, not you, because you're vegetarian, but it was beautiful. And while we were there was a little rabbinical man sitting in the corner.
Little rabbinical man. Oh, dear. Yes.
And we're thinking...
Hang on, when we say a little rabbinical man, what you mean is there was somebody wearing a kippah and had a beard.
And it turned out he was a rabbi.
It did turn out there was a rabbi.
We were close to the border with Costa Rica, in the forest, in the middle of the nowhere. And it's one of those things, wherever you go, you see Jews, Israelis, and here we were. However, this was slightly different. This man was the proprietor of Morton's Bakehouse.
And he's not called Morton, but we're going to find out a lot more about him and his wife and the work that they do in Boquete.
To talk the latest news in Israel, the Jewish world, and everything in between.
This is the J-Post Podcast. I'm Tamar Uriel-Beery, Deputy Editor-in-Chief of the Jerusalem Post.
And I'm Tzvika Klein, Editor-in-Chief of the Jerusalem Post.
And I'm Sarah Ben-Nun, Night Editor at the Jerusalem Post. Join us as we bring some of the most impactful voices to bring you into what it means to be Jewish, to be Israeli today.
Every week, we bring you with us into the newsroom in every sense.
Stop being so dramatic. This is just our coffee break.
You can find us every Thursday on jpost.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll see you there.
Yalla, bye.
We're in Boquete, which hopefully I'm pronouncing the right way, which is, Mark's already saying no, which is on the western side of Panama, kind of heading towards Costa Rica. Panama is S-shaped, so it's very difficult to get the geography right. Down in the bottom, there's jungle. In the middle, there's Panama City. And we are in an area which is a tropical...
Cloud forest.
Thank you for remembering. What is a tropical cloud forest, Mark?
It's a rainforest, but up in the clouds. Because of the precipitation that hasn't happened, it's still cloud rather than rain. Although it does rain quite a bit here.
The next few moments, we're going to share with you a unique story with a very special couple. The first thing we'd like the two of you to do is to introduce yourselves. Ladies first.
My name is Hana. I'm originally from Brazil. We've been here for almost 10 years.
My name is Yakov. I was born in Venezuela.
What is your surname and where on earth does it come from?
Poliwoda is my surname, and I usually avoid it because it's complicated to say in English. But it's from Poland, they say. Maybe others say it's from Ukraine. I have no idea. They probably made it up running away from all the persecutions, but that's my surname.
Since I read your name, I've been singing Polywolly Doodle all the day.
We know Woda because we've been to Poland a number of times. Woda is water.
Right.
Do we know what poly means?
A lot?
Rabbi full of water. We also forgot to mention you're a rabbi.
Yeah, well, a Chabad rabbi has many hats, but one of those is a rabbi, yes.
So maybe that's a good starting point. What is a Chabad couple?
I think there is a lot, because it's not like one thing that is going to be here and then in another place it could mean something else. In one place it could mean that they're going to be running a school, and in another place it could be a camp, and another place is going to be like here. We have a small local community of retirees. We don't have such a young community, and then we have a lot of tourists that come from Panama City and other places just visiting for a short time and attending them, receiving them, making sure the food is there, and directing what trips to do, where is it good to stay. And then at the same time, I have to attend the mikvah, so I also became a balanit. So it's many hats. I don't think it's one thing.
Let's go back in time. How did you first end up in Boquete?
We were living in Panama City, working, we had a job. We had no intentions of moving out on shlichus. Actually, that was the condition. We were getting married and we're not going out on shlichus. But I don't know, we came to Boquete on a trip. We met the owners of Morton's, which is Morton and Barbara, both Jewish.
We should just say Morton's is a bakery and cafe.
And they told us, why don't you open up a Chabad house? And my wife and me were not very enthused. But the idea started sinking into my mind, at least. With time, it became a reality and we took the jump.
It was very hard to take the jump, because we were already settled in Panama City. We had a house, jobs, and it's like the leap of faith to see if it's going to work or not. At that moment, I didn't think it was going to be like a touristic attraction. There weren't so many Jews coming here. Even Panama City Jews weren't necessarily coming here. It was coming to see what was going to happen. It was just coming to see the local community. At that point, we thought it was 40 Jews. We were thinking about a cemetery. That was basically it.
So before you showed up, there was nothing. There were just 40 Jewish people who happened to be Jews, happened to be living in Boquete.
Exactly, yeah. There was nothing.
We've been to a number of communities. There's a rabbi, there's maybe 2 or 3 other shlichim. There are other synagogues in the area. What's it like coming to somewhere where there are 40 Jews? How many of them were even Orthodox?
None of them were Orthodox. In fact, most of the people that are part of our community today will not identify themselves as such. I think the message or the idealism behind it was, even for one Jew, it's already worth it. That's not an idea that I made up, obviously. This permeates Chabad philosophy. It's one thing that it's philosophy, it's another thing to act upon it. And we were acting upon it, and that's maybe the scary thing about it. But yeah, there was really nobody even interested, I would say. Most people were coming here just running away. They were not looking for a community. In fact, they were leaving major Jewish centers like Chicago, New York.
I don't know if this is the right time to ask this question or not, but we were in conversation with a Chabad rabbi somewhere else. We turned off the microphone and we asked the question, in Chabad, you really push the notion of aliyah. It's something that's really important. You've come here where there's 40 people who don't identify. Are you trying to bring more Jews to this area? Are you saying to the Jews who are already here, you know what, maybe you should go to Israel because you can have a more Jewish, more fulfilling life, etc., etc.? Or is that a completely irrelevant area of conversation?
I think it would only come up if there's somebody that is becoming more religious and then this place is not a place for them to live, or somebody that wants to convert, which actually has happened already here. We sent them to Israel. There's nothing to do here.
I think this question was asked perhaps to the Rebbe himself, and the answers varied, but the thrust that I got was, we're here to serve. And that service has a lot of faces and shapes. And it doesn't necessarily mean exclusively to move to Israel. We understand the importance of it. And I always tell my wife, the next step after this is Israel. There's no question about it. We're not planning to move. We're here. But I mean, that's in our mind. What else is there? But there's a fundamental idea that you're here to serve Jewishly to whatever Jewish needs are. And that could be just bearing something. That could be providing food for somebody, or just an encouraging word. That just can change the life of a person. And remember, there's one more element. If we all want to be in Israel and we want Mashiach to come, which is part of the idea of aliyah, that's intrinsically connected with the whole world becoming a more godly place. And there's no way of doing that unless you are everywhere in the world. In a way, bringing godliness to the most remote parts of the world, like a cloud forest as Boquete, is part of that process, ultimately, in the big picture, for us all to end up in Israel.
Is this, if you will, your version or the Chabad version of what we hear so much about in Jewish circles, predominantly in Reform and Conservative circles, of Tikkun Olam?
Tikkun Olam is a valid concept, but I think it's deeper than that. Because Tikkun means something is broken and you have to repair it. Yes, there is something broken, but there's something deeper here. You're turning the world into something godly. You're not just fixing it because it's broken. You're trying to elevate it. I think it's deeper than just fixing something. I really think so. And you learn that when you're doing that. In the job, you see that there's so much more than just fixing something.
It's also very empowering when you see so many Jews from so many different places and they're sitting down on a Shabbos table in the middle of nowhere. I think a little bit of what he was saying, it's wow. And you only see it when you're on the job. Wow, it's empowering.
We're sitting in almost like a library and a lounge. Behind us are big windows with the forests and the mountains and the clouds in the background. There's a beautiful view around us and we're in a wonderful modern building. How did you start from arriving, maybe thinking about setting up a Jewish cemetery as stage one, to having kosher catering, synagogues, schools, everything that's around us at the moment?
Really, I think it's more of the vision, the dream. It's being ready to take the risk. I never have the right answer. When we moved here, I could see what I wanted or what I was envisioning, but I never knew how that was going to happen. And it's still like that. We're still figuring it out. What is the next step into the empty space? Where do I have to take the next leap of faith, as my wife was saying? I don't think I have a concrete answer to your question. I did not have a plan. That would be the right answer, but I did have a dream. I did have a vision, and I was hoping that it would somehow materialize.
Yakov always says that if an opportunity comes, like to take it. The bakery, for example, it was crazy, but the opportunity came and we took it and we worked really hard to get where we are, but to be open to whatever comes your way, even though maybe it's not exactly how the plan was.
You arrive here, you don't have kids at this stage, right?
No, we didn't have kids when we arrived. And in some ways, I would think maybe it was one of the reasons why we had the courage to do it. We didn't have children for 8 years, so it was a long time. We rented an apartment up the road. It was called Valle del Rio, and everything was there. It was quite small, but we did a lot of things there. And then at some point, it was given the opportunity to us to have a room in a very rundown hotel, which now is Celina's. We used that space. It wasn't very nice, but it gave us the opportunity when we had a camp or a Shabbaton or Yamim Nonarim, and we needed a bigger space, we used it. But we were still like running from home a lot of things like Shabbatot and other things from the house. And then we moved to this house, which is next to the building, as rented out. And that hotel where we were was sold. Before we actually finished buying the property, we were already starting to expand because the space in our living room wasn't enough. We took away the kitchen from the house. We broke a wall. We expanded a little bit of space. And then we bought the property. The house was with this property. It was empty land. It was one property. We were very blessed. She agreed to sell it to us and the previous owner. And as soon as it was signed, it took a little bit of time between the signing, getting a loan and everything. It was maybe a year or more. I think 6 months later, we were already digging for the mikvah. It really was very quick. Like as soon as we had the property, the building already started.
You start with building a mikvah you just mentioned. You get builders coming in. What do you tell them? What do they understand? What do they think you're doing?
Yakov guided them a lot throughout the whole building in every step. It was like his second home. I would say if he's not home, he's in the construction, guiding every step of everything that has to go in the mikvah and even in the synagogue. Definitely there was also guidance of Rabbanim because we're not experts in mikvah, so they were also guiding us. This is the bathroom of the mikvah, the preparation room. We have a bathtub, a shower, and actually all the supplies that are needed for mikvah. And then we have the mikvah room.
Let's just talk a little bit about what we can see here.
Everything that a woman needs for preparation of the mikvah should be here. So if you need nail polish remover, to take off your contact lenses, a makeup remover, hairbrush, shampoo, soap, slippers, towels, a bathrobe, everything. Whatever.
And now we're walking through. This almost looks like it is historic. This looks like an ancient mikveh. Mark and I have seen mikveh art in historic Spain and other places, and it has that feel as well.
We saw a 1,000-year-old mikveh in Bukhara.
This is a very new mikvah. It's not even a year old. And this mikvah actually held all the opinions, halachic opinions, on the boilers. So it means that we have 3 wells connected to our mikvah: Chabad, Ashkenazi, and Sephardic. Of course, it has a good heating system and cleaning system, so women feel good.
So for people who don't know, this was really the first thing that you took on when you got this property, was the idea of building a mikveh. Why? What is so central for you as a Jewish woman to having a mikveh out here in a tropical rainforest?
So first, for myself, I was traveling for 8 years to go to the mikvah, it's definitely a bit of a hassle. It becomes like your lifestyle. You have to travel once a month, and that's what it is. And whenever it is, you're going to make it work.
Where did you go to?
I did use the beach a little bit in Boquete, and for most of the time, I would fly to Panama City. I would go in the morning, and I would come back literally just like that. It was an in and out trip. I would have people asking. It was like the worst feeling, because somebody that is in a trip is not going to make sure to travel to make another trip to go to the mikvah. And I just didn't have, I say I don't have it. I can't attend you. I'm so sorry. Now I have to say it's surreal. Every time I have somebody here, it's like, wow, we can attend you. We can make it happen. It's amazing.
This is Mark Gordon from the Jerusalem Post Podcast Travel Edition. Find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at MarkDavidPod, or mail us at markdavidpod@gmail.com.
I just want to add something from before about how it has grown. I talked about the moves that we did, but with the years, we were getting more tourists and more people. The community actually grew from 40, went to 100. And that also allowed us to move, we needed more space. We can't stay in the small apartment anymore. We did camps and Shabbatons and different things that made us feel like we needed more space.
Through the window to my left, I can see the top of a beautiful Aron Kodesh that feels like it belongs in a big old synagogue. Tell us a little bit about the story of the Aron Kodesh and of the Bet Knesset now.
Our initial plan, as my wife mentioned, was to build a mikvah only. But around that same time, there is a shul in Florida, in Miami. They were renovating, and their old shul, which wasn't that old really, they had to find a new home for it. And it comprised a lot of important furnishings, like an Aron HaKodesh, of course, it's not a furnishing, and some doors as well, quite majestic. My grandmother was living there. She was a survivor of the Holocaust. Her last years of her life, she was living again in exile. We're from Venezuela, and she had to move out, as a lot of Venezuelans have. And living there, the rabbi approached her, and he mentioned that he had these plans, and she said she would be interested in donating the dismantling of that, and then it should be sent to us in Panama. My wife and me were hearing these stories, but we didn't think this was real. The point is, she had a heart surgery, so she survived it. The rabbi approached her in the hospital bed, and she said, if I survive this, it means I still have something to do in this world. She signed the check, and just a few months later, she passed. And we were left with this project that we were not looking to do. And definitely it was a daunting task, because it requires a building that can house such huge furniture. But as my wife mentioned, if there's a blessing coming, then we're nobody to stop it. And if it flows, then it means I should continue pursuing it. And that was the attitude I took, even though we weren't sure about it, because it was scary. But things started flowing. The company that donated us a container, a 40-foot container, and brought it to Panama for free. I found somebody in the free zone in Colón who allowed me to store the furniture indefinitely, really, and it turned out to be 2 years, 3 years. And then eventually he told me, okay, please take the furniture out. And that's when I actually started building. So everything seemed to work exactly, perfect timing. And so as I told my wife, I'm not going to stop it. If it's working, it means that it's coming our way, and I should only facilitate, and I shouldn't be the one putting obstacles. The building was built around the furniture. We're in shul now. This is our sanctuary. It's more than just a shul, really, because it's meant to do a lot of things. We hold events here, we hold davening here, we hold lessons, women's activities. We do a lot of stuff in this place, and meals, of course.
You kind of get the Spanish influence here with the arches on either side. Then you have the main area of prayer in the middle. But the overwhelming view in the Bet Knesset here is the Aron Kodesh, the story of it being shipped from America. It needed a special building to go with a special Aron Kodesh like that, and also a very tall building.
I don't know how you got it, but yeah, that was my intention. I have sort of Spanish Moroccan roots, and a lot of that inspiration of the building was that. And so I don't know how you got it, but yeah, definitely that's the impression I wanted to give. We're now in front of the Aron HaKodesh, and it has space for 10 Sifrei Kodesh, and we have 1. But it is ours. This was actually donated in memory of somebody that passed away here. He was from the community of Panama City. He was here on a trip, and sadly he passed away. And his family donated in his memory, and here it is. There was a beautiful celebration held here in his memory, and when we did this Sefer Torah.
Panama Fact File. The national airport is the Tocumen International Airport in Panama City. Panama's flag carrier, Copa Airlines, connects Panama with the Americas, flying to over 80 destinations, including US cities such as New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Miami. They also fly to Toronto and Montreal. There are currently no direct flights to Israel, but connections can be made with Air Europa, KLM, Air France, United, Iberia, and through El Al codeshares. American, Delta, and United also fly to Panama City from multiple US cities. To reach Boquete, copper fly internally from Tocumen to David International Airport. Getting from Tocumen Airport to the city centre takes around 20 minutes by car. The city's metro system has recently extended as far as the airport too. There are shuttle buses from the airport to the downtown, as well as taxis available at the entrance to the terminal. You can also use rideshare apps. Panama City has a metro, public buses, and taxis. Uber is available as well. We stayed at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in Panama City's financial district and the San Felipe Hotel in Casco Viejo. Most major luxury chains are represented here. For a touch of history, try the Central Hotel in Casco Viejo. Hotels in Boquete tend to be a mix of estate hotels and villa suites. We stayed at the Villa Alejandro close to Chabad. The currency in Panama is the Balboa, which is linked to the US dollar. Most shops accept US currency. Panama has a hot and humid tropical climate with a long rainy season from May to January and a short dry season from January to April. The climate of Boquete is cooler than that of the lowlands of Panama City. Panamanian cuisine is influenced by Spanish, African, and indigenous flavors. Common ingredients include rice, beans, yucca, plantain, corn, meats, and seafood. Sancocho is a chicken soup with yucca, plantain, and root vegetables. Try the ropa vieja shredded beef in tomato sauce. Delicious. There is no shortage of kosher cafes and restaurants in Panama City. Latest estimates are nearing 50 establishments. Details at kosher.com.pa. We visited Adama, Blame Kiki, Lula, Aria, Spice Market, and Aroma, to name a few. There are also a plethora of kosher shops and supermarkets. Even in the mountains of Boquete, you can find kosher meals at Morton's Bakehouse. Chabad will deliver kosher meals to your hotel. Panama Kosher Vacations can plan a whole 100% kosher itinerary for your visit to Panama. Check them out on Google.
right at the start of this conversation, I asked you what a Chabad couple is or does. In your case, Yakov, by training you're an engineer, and then you got into the whole Chabad thing and became this Chabad rabbi. And Hana, you went to religious seminary in Montreal. You've run construction site. You've brought in an Aron Kodesh from Florida and dealt with the containers and the imports. You said, Hana, at one point that you're also basically a tourist information center for people. How do you pick up all these skills in a place that you're not familiar with?
I think it's time. As things come your way, you learn and you see how you can do whatever you can do best. So in the beginning, tourists would come to me. I would just make like a WhatsApp list, and then you make a PDF, and then you make your PDF even better. As it goes and as it grows, as is needed, then you learn to expand. I always had an administrative inside me, like a inborn thing, but I think as you go, you learn, and each one has different strengths, and it will cover up different things in the Chabad thing, administrative and financial and food, and Baruch Hashem, end up hiring people that can help you expand all these things. You know, before I was cooking, now I have a lot of cooking help. I don't really have an answer. I think it's just like as you go, you learn what you need to do, and then if you really, really don't know it, then you're gonna have to hire somebody.
I think there is a blessing that a person can open up himself to, and God helps. As long as you're open to explore new avenues, there's nothing that can really stop you. It doesn't matter what training you have or you don't have, as long as you're willing. As they say, if there's a will, there's a way.
In Chabad, because we founded this place, we are not hired by anybody, so we want to see the success of this place. So you're going to do everything that you can in every possible way to do it the best. So if it's attending tourists, if it's the food, if it's attending the mikvah, if it's the minyan, whatever it is, you're going to try to do the best that you can. And in that, you end up learning these other skills.
David mentioned skills. One of the key skills you obviously have acquired is running a bakehouse, running a catering business. How did you go about taking on an existing bakery,
not kosher,
which was somebody's passion from when they retired, and turning it into what it is now, which is a really delightful cafe, restaurant in Boquete, and also start catering for all the hundreds and thousands of tourists that come into Boquete?
We met the owners years ago, Morton and Barbara, and for them it was a passion. When Morton passed away and Barbara had to leave to the United States, we saw it as an opportunity for us to offer kosher for all those that are here. It was successful within the boundaries of this town. People knew the bakery, and it wasn't necessarily Jews, actually. It wasn't Jews. And we just thought that, well, most of the recipes are technically kosher, even though the place wasn't. It was very easy to transform it into a kosher establishment. And a little bit with, I would say, passion and vision and a lot of dedication and constance, we actually started developing that business from being just a bake shop to a full-fledged restaurant, cafe, and to the point, and a lot of these things are blessings that come along your way, but to the point that we even started shipping our products to Panama City. They were so yummy and healthy, actually, that people were ordering, and we are still sending practically on a daily basis to Panama City.
We happened to be in the cafe this morning, and the delightful waiting service, I mean, they really are lovely, sweet people with genuine smiles, said to us, oh, by the way, in here you'll see is our new lunchtime menu. So can you whet the appetites of listeners who might be in this region and tell us the type of foods that you offer? And it's not just your standard Chabad pizza.
Definitely not. First of all, there's all the things that we've grown up with. I'm from Venezuela, my wife is from Brazil, I have Moroccan background. There's so many dishes that we even serve here at Chabad that are from our heritage, and a lot of those we've incorporated them into the menu. At the same time, a lot of the people that work at the bakery have experience in different cuisines, and I don't feel comfortable serving something in my shop that I myself will not enjoy. I'm not just trying to get by or making sure people have something kosher to eat and move on. I really want it to be something that is delightful, and I think we've striven towards that goal. every time innovating and trying to make the best out of it. The best ingredients. My wife is constantly behind getting the best stuff from Panama City and making sure the chef has what he's ordering. And we're not trying to trim any of the expenses just because we want to, save a couple of cents. We really want to make the full experience the way it should be.
Let's talk a little bit on the family side. So we said when you got here, there weren't kids. Kids came along 8 years later.
When we came here, we were already married 4 years. And 4 years later, I had my first one.
And you've got 2 kids. How old are they now?
I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old.
What do you do with them?
Part of the challenge of being here is that they're homeschooled and that you are in charge of their education, not only as a parents, but also a school education. For the first few years, I was doing it. I was teaching my oldest one. And then at some point, it was 2 years ago, last year, school year, we brought 2 girls from Chabad to help us out with that. And we have another 2 children from another family that join us a few days of the week. It has been an absolute blessing because although I have to guide them because they're very young, it takes off a lot for me. And then if they're not here, then again, it goes back on me.
This is our Jewish school here in Boquete.
Hello.
Who are you?
My name is Mishka.
From?
Ottawa, Canada.
And what are you doing here?
I am hanging out with Jamal and Pesya, and we're learning together.
Hi, my name is Menucha Esther Librov, and I'm from Florida. And we are, what Mushka said, we're hanging out with Pesya and Jamal.
So right now we just finished learning Aleph Beis. Pesya's in the middle of learning. Let's hear what you're learning, Pesya.
No.
You don't want to say? No. Are you sure? We could tell them for you. Should we tell them for you? No. How about Jamal? Jamal, should we tell them what letter we learned today? We learned the alphabet in Hebrew. And after lunch, we're going to learn the alphabet in English and numbers. And right now, we're going to make our charts for Pesya and Jamal to keep track of all their stickers that they earn.
Wow, stickers. Bye-bye.
Say bye-bye.
It's a challenge and it's a blessing. It's a bit of both because you're overseeing what they need and what are the difficulties and where they're striving. At the same time, you want to, implement things that you think it's important. And it's a challenge because you always have to be on it. You can't just disconnect.
So I always tell my wife when we have these conversations that it really doesn't matter where you live, there will always be a challenge. So if you have your child in a regular mainstream Jewish school, there are plenty of challenges there that you have to deal with. Sometimes there's external influences that you would never want your child to have, and you're going to have to deal with it when they come home. However, the social part is amazing because they'll get all the social skills you need. When we're here, it's the exact opposite. The influences are minimal, but the social skills are the harder ones. Everything is a matter of perspective, and truly, us living here, we've met so many people that are living a similar lifestyle, not necessarily at shlichus, or some of them are, but some people have chosen a life where their children do not go to school. It's just the perspective and the relativism of that is so interesting. If you're responsible enough, then it doesn't necessarily have to be something so off the wall. You can be a very responsible parent in a school setting, and you can be a very irresponsible one as well. So it's just about counting your blessings, and I think that's something we've learned, both of us, to do here.
Talking of a social environment, when we met you, Yakov, yesterday, when we weren't recording and we were just chatting before we'd met your wife, one of us asked you if you get lonely, and you said, my social life is my wife. That's the short version of it. What about you, Hana? How do you manage socially? Both of you come across as being very warm, engaging people.
In one hand, you see people because you see the people from your community and you attend them. So that gives a little bit of social. There's definitely a lack of seeing people my age or in the same kind of lifestyle, which is part of the challenge. But at the same time, at some point of the year, you have to make sure to travel and get a little bit of social. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's lonely. But you get busy. You're busy. That's the thing. And then when you're busy, you're not thinking so much about those things because you're attending. You have to think about what's going to happen next week. You have to think about the next program, the next camp, the next tourist. So that busyness also helps a little bit, like, take away the loneliness.
What's the future going to be here? What's going to happen in 5 years' time when it's Yom Ha'atzmaut 2030 or whatever Chag is here? Where do you see this community, this center in Boquete in 5-10 years' time?
I hope, God willing, this place becomes a dynamic center for people to come to connect and, let's say, disconnect from the noise of city life and to connect with nature, with beauty, with spirituality. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to not be grounded, but I do hope that this becomes more of a hub where people really can feel recharged when they come here and they look forward to being here. To say what's going to happen in 5 years, I don't know what's going to happen in 10 minutes from now. So we always try to bear that humility that God is running the show, and we're hoping always for the absolute best. But seeing what has happened here, in retrospect, 9 years ago when we arrived and where we are now, I can say I never imagined we would be here. I think there is hope, there is dreams, and at the same time there's a humility that God will guide us in the right direction, and we should only be healthy to see it. And even better, if we can just be in Israel, that would be wonderful. We'll just take this center with us and put it next to the Beis HaMikdash.
I think it's a bit similar to what Yakov said, that I hope that we have more camps and more groups to allow people to enjoy it and to work with camps also, like, the growth and how you see the kids growing and maturing and enjoying the nature. So I hope we have more of those. Hopefully the community will also grow. Just hoping that it will grow in any way.
If I'm a tourist coming to visit Boquete, how do I best engage with Chabad, with getting kosher meals, with services here? Do I do it through my travel agent or can I contact you directly?
You can always contact us directly. We are happy to work with agents as well. We're here to serve. If we can help in any way, we're happy to do that directly. All we've done here is, and strive for, is to provide for everything. Kashrus, a woman's mikvah, there's a proper shul, there's rooms, and there's more to do, but we've done a lot of things to make sure people are comfortable when they are here.
Something we didn't mention during our conversation is that there are also 5 rooms that people can rent to stay. So that actually in the premises, you've got a shul here, you've got a mikvah here, you've got the kosher food here, everything on site.
This is our bedrooms. We have 5 of them, each one with their own bathroom. And the idea is that people have an option for Shabbos. They don't want to be carrying. There's no Eruv here. I haven't gotten that far. People have to stay somewhere close to shul and they can't carry. They have a baby. We're happy to accommodate. Our rooms have AC, which is pretty strange for this part of the country.
Separated queen-size beds.
Yes, and then we also have rooms that can fit 4 people. There are 2 bunk beds. There's a variety of options, and we deal with them on a very personal basis. We're not an Airbnb or anything like that.
And it's great for groups also, for camps and retreats and families with young children also.
So if people want to come visit, whatever it is, do you have a website? Do you have an email? What's the best way for people to contact you?
Our website is chabadboquete.com. Our contact information is there. You can also see our more active site is our Instagram. There, it's more like updated, and you can really see things that are going on as they happen.
And that's also Chabad Boquete?
Chabad Boquete, yes.
Okay.
And you have all the contacts through there. You can reach us through WhatsApp. The number is on the websites as well. The food orders are done through the website. And Morton's, the restaurant, you can actually just come and sit down. It's open 6 days a week.
So that's Chabad Boquete, Chabad Boquete. Before
we say the thank you that people always do at the end of interviews, I just want to share with you, Mark, and you can sit and watch and listen, Mark and me.
David Overshares, part 2.
Yeah. What were you expecting? I don't mean in Boquete, I mean from Chabad Boquete. What did you think you were going to see and get?
When we first had the booking, I asked to speak to Morton because I just saw the website and it mentioned Morton, and I thought, Morton's retired. Although I did look at the timeline and think maybe Morton isn't here anymore, but we got told
he isn't here anymore, I believe.
I've worked that one out. But it was also, we knew we were getting our evening meals with Chabad Boquete. So we said, look, can we speak to people here and try and find out about life in Boquete? So when we had the interview, I just assumed that was to do with Chabad Boquete and not the restaurant. I thought there'd be a small house with a little kitchen where people made meals. I wasn't expecting to see a Bet Knesset, a mikvah, everything we've got here, and such a wonderful restaurant and bakehouse that Morton's is.
I'll add to that and also say, obviously, wonderful people as well, because you can't do this without vision. And I'm sure that our hosts would also say without siyata d'shmaya, without the help of God and belief in God. And to do all of this in one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen, with nature all around, with rivers. Remember when we entered Boquete, which is something that is not in our podcast, the first thing that we did when we stopped, there was a rest place. Actually, we might have mentioned it all the way at the start. There were vultures flying overhead. And you, Mark, said, I've never seen vultures before. And you get all of that, plus all the Jewish stuff. When we came here to this centre, literally, my jaw dropped open and I noticed Hana was looking at me and my mouth was still wide open and I sort of put my hand underneath my chin to close.
The words wow just came out of my mouth. This is certainly not what I was expecting. We've been to plenty of Chabads on our travel, and the work that Chabad do around the world for tourists, and particularly with us, with our tourism podcast, is amazing. But this is unique. This is very, very special.
If you are headed to Central America, to Panama, if you're going to Panama City, great. If you're going to David, great. But make sure that you put Boquete on your map, not just because of the beauty around here, but to have that unique Jewish experience in somewhere very, very special with very special people. Hana, Yakov, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for all your time and your good wishes. Thank you.
You're listening to the Jerusalem Post podcast, Travel Edition.
We are in the beautiful Italian city of Napoli.
We're in downtown Dubai.
We are at the Mountain Dew Synagogue in Baku.
We are in the magnificent city Krakow.
The Jerusalem Post podcast Travel Edition brings you the joys of travel and tourism. So why not subscribe today wherever you get your podcasts? There's nowhere better to end than there. What a lovely couple of people.
It was an amazing experience, and it really capped off a fantastic visit to Boquete and Panama, a wonderful country.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, share it with your friends, or contact us at markdavidpod.
Or mail us at markdavidpod@gmail.com. Is there a quiz question?
No, there wasn't.
Okay, bye then.
Bye then.